There you go. So half in the bag kind of starts with some rattling too, but I think it's a pre-cut thing.
Sure.
Pick It and Flick It podcast. My name is Vox.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Natasha.
What are you writing?
I'm just trying to remember the stuff.
The stuff that went on in this crazy ass movie.
So I'm trying to write it down so when we talk about it, I don't forget. But
that's fair.
Who knows? I'm already forgetting.
Yeah, that's fair. Wow. Big, came out of left field.
Sure.
Craziest, probably most down-to-earth and artistic movie in a combination I've ever seen in my life. We're talking about 2022's, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So I always was referencing this as Everything, Everywhere, All the Time, but...
Which also...
Yeah, it kind of worked out. Yeah, but
sure.
That's not the title.
I thought it was Everything and Nothing All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
Which would make sense, too.
Yeah, I guess the nothing part did kind of come in the...
Any combination of every and all are very usable in this context. Because the movie, first of all...
It's a Sundance movie, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So, first of all, go see this movie.
Yes.
There's no reason for you not to.
Because let me tell you, I know people are going to start dropping off here. As soon as they heard the beer can open, they were done. But
if
you're still here, go see this movie because it was truly one of the most outrageous, out there, and unique movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about this movie. The only thing I knew was that the guy, and I'm going to... Lord help me, I'm going to attempt to say his name.
Oh, gosh.
Ki Hugh Kwan.
Yeah.
We're going to say, I'm sorry, the guy who played Short Round and the Goonies, who played Short Round and Data in the Goonies,
I would say, there you
and
go.
Short Round in Temple of Doom. Two of my most watched movies probably ever, has made an illustrious return here in his first movie in like 20 years.
I would say it's like 25 years.
I've never
or 20
seen
years.
The Goonies. So.
Disappointing. But...
You'd like the Goonies. You should watch it.
The only thing I knew about this movie was he was coming back, which was like, well, that's interesting. And that on Letterboxd, Vox and I's favorite app,
Yes.
this was the number one ranked movie on the entire website.
I think it still is.
It probably is.
Yeah.
Which, that's crazy to me. Because I remember when Parasite crept up there, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
And I had already seen Parasite, and I was like, that's deserved. But, I mean, better than The Godfather, better than Shawshank. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And
Parasite
so...
did not do it for me, so
Yeah,
that
same.
surprises me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
We've talked. Did we do a review on
I don't
Parasite?
think so.
Okay. Regardless, it was not for me.
There's a lot of similarities
I know it is
with
for
this
sure.
film, and that's the thing is like going into this movie blind is the best way to see it because
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. I heard the name, I saw the poster, it looked real out there, but the poster for Parasite doesn't really tell you what's going on either.
Yeah.
So
I thought Parasite was going to be more of a horror movie. By the way that the poster is. This gave me...
this was more of a horror movie.
Well,
than-
really, this gave me the vibe that I got through the entire movie. Like, it's kind of this strange and colorful project full of art and consistency, as well as not being consistent at all. I want to correct two things.
Sure,
Number
sure.
one, my first one is the fact that this was a Sundance. It wasn't. It was South by Southwest premiered movie,
Okay.
which... I think that festival is the same way with movies as it is with Sundance, where they don't get theatrical releases, and it's very rare that they do so well that they go into theaters.
It's usually the winner of
Yeah.
the festival that will see a
theatrical
wider,
release, yeah.
you know.
When we had to go to a random ass theater.
Well, that's
just
what I was
to
just going to
see
say.
this
We
movie.
spent, what, like $65?
Yeah, this was a $61 movie. Let me tell you, I'd double it after
Yeah,
having seen the
totally.
Yeah,
film.
this is an A24 film as well, and the first thing out of my mouth when we got in the truck after we said our goodbyes was I will be purchasing the limited edition of this.
Sure.
Because they released one for Lamb. Sorry, Tasha.
No, you're good.
They released one for Lamb that had like a steel case to it, and like
Yeah, the steelbook.
Yeah, the steelbook and the full frontal artwork all the way around. Like, whew, if they better do that. For
Really
this
gets
movie.
your physical media
Yes.
brain.
Yeah, because you know us,
moist.
where we
Sure,
want to
sure.
touch it. Go ahead, sorry.
I don't think I've seen an A24 movie that I didn't like.
So it's really funny.
The last like
We were just
4
talking about
weeks,
this.
every day, Vox and I have to have this debate where I just tell him A24 doesn't miss. They have given such a great avenue for these weird little movies to see like almost mainstream success, and I just even if the movie isn't for me, I can never say that the movie wasn't different.
Yeah, because it's always a different concept. Because we're so like pumped with the nostalgia and the, superheroes and all that stuff. It's just nice to see something that's completely different.
And that's the beauty of this movie specifically, is that out of nowhere, every superhero big budget franchise has to do multiverse legacy sequels, bringing back this, traveling from here to there, and we just saw that with Spider-Man. We're going to see it with The Flash, and it's just going to keep happening until everyone gets sick of it. And this movie did that, but it wasn't like cheap, it wasn't goofy, everything was treated serious, even though there was like fantastical like comedic elements throughout the whole movie.
Even like spoiler alert,
just go see this movie.
The hot dog finger universe was still serious.
Yes.
And that was crazy to me because they made comedy out of it, but it was still like this still does matter.
Sure. It was kept serious while being silly.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that's the weird thing about this whole movie was 1 minute I'm laughing hysterically at like Tosh just said, a universe, because the movie is about like dimension universe hopping and one kind of failed regretful older woman is thrust into this extreme adventure to save the universe or whatever, and it jumps from a universe where everyone has hot dogs for fingers and like throws up ketchup and mustard, and then it's just like one where she's a famous actress and a kung fu expert and all this stuff, and it never like loses you.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
My other favorite one I think was the blind singer.
Yeah.
Did you notice that she fell onto pencils when she was a kid, and that way it heightened her different abilities, so she was able to sing, and she needed to hold her breath for a long period of time?
I don't know. I think my favorite was Raccacoonie.
That's right. That's right.
The guy from Glee was in it.
Yeah.
Not the one who died.
I should probably figure out his name instead of calling him the guy from Glee.
And there's some hardcore action sequences in this movie, like both on the main character, the mom's side. I don't remember her name.
Evelyn.
Evelyn
Wang.
Oh yeah, Evelyn. She goes through these like insane action sequences where things are being thrown around and she's flipping around and shooting people through the roof with pinkies and stuff. But did you catch in the beginning of the movie, before all the craziness started happening, that the security cameras in the background started kind of like wigging out, and then all of a sudden you see him like jumping over, like parkouring over wash machines and like grabbing stuff and flipping off of the wall, and then all of a sudden he goes back to normal.
Yeah, well, that was like the first it said on the camera.
Yeah, it was like the first like hinting at it, and I didn't know if you guys caught it or not, because it was actually quite quick. But that initial portion when we started seeing him jump around made me think like, are they going to bring Jackie Chan into this as like an alternate universe kind of thing, or what?
It's very ironic you say that, because after I got home, when I see a movie this good, I immediately dive into, how did this happen? What are we doing? Also, not very many reviews of this bad boy out on the web right now.
No, because that's the thing, is no one fucking knows about it. That's why we paid $60 to go see it in a POS movie theater.
But like Vox said, which I'm sure he was about to say,
yeah,
this was originally envisioned to be a Jackie Chan-led vehicle before they swapped it
I'm glad it wasn't.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because it would have been centered around Jackie Chan.
And I felt like
more.
I felt like kind of racist, but because the side profile of the guy of Short Round, he looks exactly like Jackie Chan.
Big
and that's
round.
when I thought Big Round. Yeah,
Big Round. Now
I thought that they were gonna be like doing one of those face morph things, because they only showed, because the cinematography in this movie is fucking amazing.
It's insane.
So they showed like a side portion of his face for an extended period of time. Like I'm talking like a minute scene where he's just like talking to Evelyn, but it's only the side. And that's when I thought, like, are they gonna bring Jackie Chan into this? Because he looked just like Jackie Chan. So yeah, that sounds a little racist, because not all Asians look the same, I know. However, it was well done.
You could see it.
I was waiting for it.
Well, the whole movie, from start to end, immediately the big theme for me was yin and yang.
Yeah.
The light and the dark,
the push and the pull,
hope versus cynicism, perseverance through failure, past and present regret, existentialism versus like finding purpose, because that's what kept happening was fuck it, nothing matters. But then towards the end, it pulls you back and says, well, there is.
Yeah.
You can't have light without dark. You can't have this without that. And it's just like the ultimate what if.
Right.
And that was the big takeaway from the movie from me was, like they say very early on, every little decision you make in your life could butterfly effect off, and I stub my toe today, so 6 years from now I get run over by a bus when that wouldn't have happened if I didn't do that.
Well, in this movie, it would be that you stubbed your toe, and then you're either going to gain toe superpowers, or become crippled.
I'm
going to
become a sentient toe. That's just my whole body.
Yeah.
Right, and then your left leg will be really strong because your right leg
Sure.
can't do
That was another one I liked was
pinkies.
the pinky, which was a clear Bruce Lee 1-inch punch reference, which I made a little box down here, which I just added to while you were talking because I thought of another one, and all the movies and stuff that this movie reminded me of, because it was an amalgamation of stuff, but still not like I don't know. It wasn't. It took what it had and like transcended it to do something else, which is what I think every movie should do.
Yeah,
which
for
was
sure.
nice. And I had Back to the Future, obviously, with the comedic,
time jump
seeing
stuff.
yourself and whatever. They Live, which is breaking out of what you thought you knew before.
Sure.
And Hereditary, because there was a lot of like
I couldn't make it through.
intergenerational trauma and family's tough, ain't it? Kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And the first thing I said to you when the movie ended was that this reminded me of The Lighthouse, where there was just so much coming into my brain all at once. I had to sit on it, but it was still like, holy shit, this was a movie.
Yeah, speaking of The Lighthouse, we did a review on The Lighthouse.
We did.
So you can go and check that out and see how much I hated it, because I did. And that leads us to Tosh, because I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I told him, I was like, you cut me off a lot. And then he goes, really? I didn't notice. And now he's like, shit.
I'm paying attention.
Observant.
I'm paying attention.
When it first started and when they were in the elevator and he started to explain to her what the whole situation.
Right.
I was like, this movie, I'm not going to understand this movie. But then they did a
really good job.
They did a great job of explaining it and not making me feel like
an idiot.
Because sometimes when it comes to like multiverses and like time travel and stuff, like my brain sometimes cannot.
Yeah. Well, they also make up shit
comprehend it.
with those type of movies where it's, quantum space majugulies and blah, blah, blah. And they'll just make up stuff, make it sound realistic enough to where like, oh, the common dope. Oh, that makes sense because he does this.
Well, in the words of Evelyn in this movie is, now you're just making up sounds.
Well, that was great too, because like in addition to every kung fu movie that's ever been made, every Bruce Lee, every Kill Bill, every other movie, Kung Pao,
Oh yeah,
one of my favorites.
Yes.
I also got a bunch of Shameless, where it was comedy and drama pulled from like absurdity and very dour situations.
Yeah. Did either of you like The Big Bad?
I loved her.
So did
Yeah,
I.
yeah.
Okay.
It was
I was
neat.
like, I'm glad that they kind of went with this, because when they first started revealing who the Big Bad was, they were not showing her face, and the first thing out of your mouth was, it's going to be the dad.
It's going to be James Hong.
Yeah, it's going to be the
I knew
dad.
it was the daughter.
Because I was thinking big time, almost in a century.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actor
of being the villain.
Sure.
James Bond.
That was the other thing I said to you was this movie makes me want to watch Big Trouble in Little China again, which again reminds me of that. I got Scott Pilgrim versus the World vibes from the fantasticalness of it.
Like the video game kind of background stuff.
And then the one I just added it reminded me of Top Secret, Naked Gun, Airplane, where those movies work for me in the sense that one of the rules that those guys had was if something's happening in the foreground, that's when you can have a joke in the background or something that while they're getting through that exposition and kind of world building, that's when you see the husband start jumping around the washing machines, but they don't draw attention to it. It's just like,
it's just in the background.
Yeah.
Which is just one of those little things that you can add in a movie and makes it so much better than just boring two people back and forth talking.
Well, and let's talk about that then for a minute, because there's another little thing that they added through here, which I don't know if Tasha pointed or figured it out, but you and I caught on immediately, is that they changed the aspect ratio in between the universes.
Oh, you told me, yeah.
Yeah. So main universe is complete full screen, and then like when they jumped to another universe where they're trying to figure out how to link that universe together,
especially with the action scenes.
Yeah,
it would
just slowly. Well, in a couple of scenes, it would slowly move down to it because it was like building up the anticipation. And we talked about this too. It almost reminded me of Kill Bill.
Yeah,
because Kill Bill kind of has that same exact.
Well, I was also thinking like Christopher Nolan, like I think it was The Dark Knight Rises, where they shot part of it in IMAX and part of it normally. With,
and then they crisscrossed them.
And it doesn't do like this movie where it'll be the slow zoom in or it'll just cut. You'll just see like these very jarring cuts where it's suddenly
there's bars all of a sudden on the top and bottom of your screen.
But it was such like a neat way to kind of not pull your attention away. But if you're like a movie guy and you're like, oh, I get it.
Same thing with the sounds. Did you notice a lot of the sounds were being played behind us?
Yep. A lot of great stereo around the...
Because there's like conversation in front of us through the main speakers, but then there's random sounds like bowls clinking and like footsteps moving around that were behind us. And it was freaking me out because I thought it was people walking, because we were kind of like where we were sitting, there was an aisleway behind us. And I was like, are they just fucking people like walking and talking behind us? But it wasn't. It was just the way that the stereo was split throughout the movie theater, which was... That was pretty interesting.
It had nice so many unique little filmmaking techniques that everyone just seems to forget to do nowadays. And I don't know if that's because everything's filmed on a green screen or
I think
whatnot.
so. And I think there was only a couple of times where we saw major green screen stuff. There was one fight where their mom and daughter are punching each other, and the backgrounds keep switching every time they hit.
Well, that might not have even been green screen.
It was in two portions because you could see the like kind of pixelations when their hair was moving around, and then I think it was like almost every other shot, so it kind of confused the eye, but I was paying some close attention to that shit. And then all of a sudden they would stop and they would interact with the environment around them. So they were mixing that up, and it reminded me of the Mad Max thing where they were removing frames to make it look like glitchy and kind of like sporadic. So it kind of had that same exact feel going on, which Tasha actually just recently watched all the Mad Max with us. And
besides the first one.
We're not watching that one. And I was pointing that out to her because she's like, this kind of hurts my eyes. And it's like, because they're literally removing frames to make the action look like it's even quicker.
But what's weird is like, right now I'm knee deep in Freddy versus Jason stuff for an upcoming video at youtube.com/confusedreviews.
Shout out.
When it comes out in 8 years. And you know what? Is the director of that movie is a guy named Ronnie Yu, who, of course, made everyone's favorite Chucky movie, Bride of Chucky. But in Freddy vs. Jason, he does this technique similar to this, where it's the frame rate is very spastic for certain elements. And what's weird is, like, in that movie, it looks really bad. Not only because it doesn't fit with the look of those movies anyway, but like it's like he took too much out, and it's almost like a strobe light effect at like a haunted house.
Okay.
But in the movie, and it's kind of weird to follow, and it's really like strange to look at. And watching it done in this movie is like the perfect amount to do it.
And you know what, too, is they use a lot of practical things in this movie.
The shot list and like what they had to do with the different locations and costumes
is insane.
Makes my head hurt just thinking about how much they had to do. Like that one kind of montage, I guess you could call it, at the very end where she's dead on looking at the camera and it jumps through. Like I couldn't even attempt.
I wanted to bring that up later, but I'm glad we went there now. I want to get that and then pause.
Yes.
Or like import it into Premiere.
That's an editing suite.
Yeah, and go.
For sure.
Frame by frame, because I saw a demon at one point that had like huge horns and a purple face, and I was like, I want to see that universe, you know?
I've never done acid, but this movie felt as close to I've ever seen in a movie as being like a psychedelic, like transcendent experience.
A little trip. There's two other things that I wanted to point out, all within that same thing. The other one was back on the practicalness of it. They used this RGB fucking light that kind of like rotated around their faces when they were doing some kind of like transcending of sorts, and you can tell that was just attached to the camera lens, and then like when they moved the camera close to their face, so the lights get brighter. So how cool to just use like little small things. Sure, probably a $15 light that they were to attach to something, you know, and just go from there, and it made such a great effect. Sure. The other thing is, I need to shake the costume designer's hand.
Absolutely.
Because that bad guy had many costumes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And makeup.
I was looking up her name because I wanted to say the person who played Joy, but it's Stephanie Hsu.
Is she in
HSU?
Is she in? She reminds me of the one chick from.
It's probably Hugh, if I had to
Hugh?
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, Hugh. She reminds me of the chick from Orange Is the New Black.
She's not in anything.
She's in.
Well,
She's
while you guys are
Karen
doing
in
that-
the SpongeBob musical. How
Sure,
could we?
sure.
How could we not
but she must have had so much fun with this movie
Mm-hmm.
because her costumes were amazing.
Well, everybody, like that one shot I'm thinking of is when she's holding like a weapon and it just
and it
fires
shuffles through all of them. Oh my
so
God.
many different things. And I also read one of those frames was an Oscar, which is great. That's just,
Is that right?
yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't see it.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the chick that used dildos to smack
That
the
was
fuck
hilarious.
out of people.
Yeah.
You know?
Best use of dildos in a movie since Jackass 3D, without a doubt.
But like even her, like when she was normal, like I felt like I liked her outfits. I thought they were cute. Like
Oh, yeah.
her tennis outfit, I thought was adorable.
Yeah.
But then like there was one part where she had like teddy bears.
Teddy bears, yes.
And I loved that. And like her makeup was insane, even when she was like the bagel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
had the
couldn't-
bagel on her head.
Well-
the bagel. Her hair was made out of a bagel.
So it's really funny that we're going to bring up the bagel here because that reminded me of stuff that happens in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which, spoiler alert, I just did a one-shot on, which will be out...
An exclusive.
Yeah, well, which will be out sooner than later.
Sure.
However, though, like that whole like thing where they're kind of like worshiping the bagel was literally a Douglas Adams like high five reference because they were just like, that's what happens in the movie with Deep Thought. And I know neither of you have really, I mean, you've watched the movie with me, but you
Once.
fucking hated
Yeah.
it.
I
And you
didn't
haven't
hate
seen it.
it.
Yes, you did.
I did not hate it. I didn't love it like you do, but I
And,
did not hate it.
I don't think anyone does.
But it was very much so like a nod to that stuff. So
Well,
it's
you know
really
what's-
great seeing that.
You know what's funny? This is a deep cut, okay? Almost the deepest cut I may have ever made.
Whoa.
So obviously there's a lot of focus on the bagel and what that means, and it's played up for comedy and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But you know what movie also does something very similar?
Tell me.
Is the Angry Video Game Nerd movie.
Never
Okay?
seen it.
You don't want to.
Okay.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So Angry Video Game Nerd is a
YouTuber.
legendary YouTube personality who I used to get up when I was a kid on Saturday morning to go onto my old school family computer downstairs to watch the new video that he would drop every Saturday.
Wow.
That's how old we're going. We're going like 2007.
Yeah, I mean-
back. Okay.
Yeah, you're just a baby in 2007.
Right. I was straight out of the petri dish,
Oh,
and
God.
Didn't have to deal with dial-up internet though.
Well, I
Right.
didn't even have internet.
right. So
Oh, I did.
the Angry Video Game Nerd movie is a giant pile of shit, and I hate to say that because I love him so much.
Yeah.
And his content has just completely gone down the toilet in the last couple of years. This is a rabbit hole we could go down for hours, okay? But in 2014, he crowdfunded $325,000 to make a movie. And instead of, just making something that the fans would like while also making like a good movie, he thought he had to go to LA to be like a real Hollywood movie guy, which, as we all know, filming
gosh.
in Los Angeles is
What is
ridiculously
this?
expensive.
Yeah.
Drake and Josh go to Hollywood?
Basically. That even had more, production value.
That's another deep cut.
But towards the end of that movie, there's a sequence where some big bad guy is revealed and whatever, and they say if he wins, the universe will turn into nothing more than like a ham sandwich or something. And it makes
Okay.
no sense. It's just completely ridiculous. And I kept thinking of that while I'm watching this movie. And I'm thinking, why the fuck am I thinking about the Angry Video Game Nerd movie? But then it clicked. It was like, this movie has something to say, but not because it's like trying to seem like needlessly enlightened or like be snobby, like I've got the universe figured out.
Yeah.
It was more just like a way for these artists to say why
Yeah.
about everything.
Or nothing.
Exactly.
About everything.
And it was such a perfect juxtaposition because like the ham sandwich bit was just clearly like, oh, that'd be funny,
Yeah.
versus this where it's like
It's a donut.
everything's absurd.
It's a donut with everything on it.
Everything
no,
we know.
Bagel.
Or I'm sorry, a bagel with
It
everything
was
on it.
a-
a donut with
I
everything.
think that was an everything bagel because it,
It
seemed like it
was.
had
It
both
was an
types.
Well, that's what she was
everything
saying.
bagel.
Okay.
Because she was saying like there's everything on this
Poppy
bagel.
seeds.
You know what's funny is
sesame
Vox
seeds.
and I ate a bagel for breakfast
There you go.
yesterday too. So
Is
it
it
was
tr-
a whole full circle.
It's like a bagel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
Is it true that if you eat
Yes.
enough bagels, it'll pop up in a drug test.
If you eat enough poppy seeds.
Poppy seeds.
Yeah, because poppy seeds are like basically
Opioids?
an opioid. Yeah.
Really?
So if you eat,
You have
if
to
can,
eat like
you
a
have to,
lot.
Yeah, you have to eat a shitload of them.
I just imagine like a crackhead on the side of a California, side street, just eating like an entire bundle of things just to feel something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's a little bit out there, but yeah, you definitely could.
Well, I always thought it was just like an old wives' tale, like, oh, if
No.
you eat those, you'll catch up in the.
You have to eat a fuckload of them.
Yeah.
I have to imagine like one of my
Like a
idiot
5-gallon
middle
bucket.
school friends told me that, and I was always like, that doesn't make sense.
No, I mean that is true,
Sure.
but it's just science.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know. No
Yeah,
one's
we
gonna no one's gonna be like, I had a poppy seed bagel, so I'm gonna test positive for
an
every drug
opioid.
on the
Yeah.
planet. And
Holy shit! Every single thing on here is positive. What did you eat today?
an
everything bagel.
It was the cream cheese that did it.
Luke,
What?
you want to tell us how we rate things
Oh, I
around
still
here?
have more things
Do you?
to say.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I wanted to say. A little
wow,
more.
then
Well, I
Let's
didn't even
keep
tell
going.
you the one word I used to describe this movie.
You
And
got a lot going on about this movie.
the one word I would use to describe this movie is unpretentious.
Okay.
And that's how I would describe it to someone.
Yeah, I mean that's not wrong.
I also saw the googly eye, keeping on the full circle thing. Googly eye on her forehead, third eye.
The third eye,
Your
yeah.
your mind
Yeah.
awakens.
Yeah.
And this was something else we said on the way out of the theater. This was art. And I
Yeah.
hate saying that talking about movies because I think all movies are art to an extent. But this movie was one of the greatest pieces of film I've seen in a long time.
This, if you don't understand modern art, you're not gonna probably get on board with this.
I don't know about that.
I do.
This was like an ironic, like postmodern deconstruction of the universe.
Well, here's
with
what I want to
goofy
say on-
kung fu and stuff.
That's what I want to say on that, because Tosh and I had this discussion last night. There's two types of people, realistically. Okay, there's left brain people and there's right brain people, and anyone that has the right brain, like standard reading, can't figure anything out by looking at like a bent piece of metal and saying that's art, probably won't get this movie. I guarantee I could take you to a modern art exhibit right now, and you
Okay.
could be like, yeah, that's a banana duct taped to a wall, but like I kind of like it for some reason because you're a left brain person.
Well, I think modern art is a scam.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just
not
a money
wrong.
laundering operation.
You're not wrong. So do I. But I'm saying is like we can take a lot of things out of a lot of stuff. Like stuff that people
Yeah.
won't ever get. You just referenced the video game nerd.
That's
you
right.
know,
I mean, sure.
fucking movie.
But I look at this more as like the modern popcorn munching masses will hate this movie.
It's because it's modern art. It's very, very different. It's
But, like,
very spacey.
I don't even agree with that because like it is, but it isn't. Like
I'm just
it-
saying,
it's
man.
like doing that, but it's all, you can tell like they're like, well, fuck it, who cares? We'll have a dildo fight, and the guy who played fucking Short Round 35 years ago is beating security guards to death with a fucking fanny pack.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening, but yet I completely understand what's going
But
on.
here's the thing that the movies now don't do.
Okay,
They have a fucking this movie does.
they had
do.
something to say.
They had something to say.
Sure.
This movie had a message in it, right? The
Yeah.
entire movie had a
Mm-hmm.
message in it, and it's that everything matters, but also nothing matters at all. So
Yeah.
who gives a fuck?
Well,
I liked like being someone that like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. You know, it was nice to see that. It's
Well, I
just kind
think-
of like nothing fucking matters. So
Sure, 'cause
just live your life. and
That was one of the
enjoy
big
it.
things was to just enjoy it. You know, the last few years especially have made a lot of people realize, what's going on?
Yeah.
Nobody has an idea at all.
Yeah.
And this was a great outlet for the ability to sit there and say, everybody just chill the fuck out. All we have is each other. Everybody's hurting. Everybody hates everything. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one of my favorite, like, I guess scenes, but things of this movie is when they get turned into rocks.
Sure.
Because that's fucking art right
Yeah.
there. Like, they just had subtitles up for a small conversation
Mm-hmm.
that was having, but
Any blind person who saw this one,
not going
I
to
hate
happen
it.
on that one. Yeah, it's it's a very open shot. Like it's full
Yeah.
screen, like in your face.
it looks like a desktop background.
Yeah, it
of
does.
Of just mountains and a desert environment.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those like.
It was almost like a YouTube sketch.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
It was like, wouldn't it be funny if two rocks had an existential discussion about life.
Well, it's like
and just being allowed to do nothing.
You survey 50 people in middle school on what an alternate universe would be like, and they're like, everyone has hot dogs for hands, or we're all rocks.
Do you think like an 8-year-old just wrote this? Because they say kids are more creative.
Yeah, I think the Pinata universe is also a big
That's
one.
right, yeah.
Like,
I mean, they could have asked like their kids, like, what would be like a cool, universe?
Hot dogs for fingers, you puke up mustard. Sure. I mean, who cares?
Well, and the other thing, too, is like it's probably written by the same people that have the same minds as writing Family Guy episodes, because we were just talking this morning about Road to Multiverse, which is my favorite Family Guy episode.
I also had a bunch of like Family Guy comparisons there. Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, in Road to Multiverse, they go to a Disney universe where everything's animated by Disney Pixar, and then there's like another universe they go to where everyone's just frozen.
The Robot Chicken.
Oh, the Robot Chicken universe, or they go into a universe where everyone like talks in only like 3 syllables. Lois, give me dinner. You know, like
they were like polygons.
And they get frozen in ice. So there's a lot of like fun things that happen with that, and I think that's why that was truly my favorite episode, because it's so goofy, but we don't know because we've never traveled to.
Plus, Brian and Stewie are the greatest duo on the show
ever. So whenever they have solo shows,
but you know what? As you were saying that, I thought of another movie this reminded me of.
This could go on forever.
We could just go on forever, but we'll get wrapping up here in a minute. But the 1989 absolute cinematic bomb that nobody liked but me is Dan Aykroyd's Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah, no.
Don't even think anyone's heard of this.
No, I'm out.
This is
almost every movie that you've referenced today I have not seen.
But you know what? If anybody's listening who does know, they'll be like, he's right.
Yeah.
But Nothing But Trouble was the culmination of letting Dan Aykroyd be Dan Aykroyd, which, if you don't know, is a horrible mistake. Dan Aykroyd is a crazy person who should not be left to just run wild, okay?
Yeah. He's like senile grandpa.
Well, not only that, but you need a John Landis or a Ivan Reitman, Harold Ramis combination with Dan Aykroyd, because Dan Aykroyd has some of the most fantastical, crazy ideas ever. Like, you could have told me he wrote this movie, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Talking about we'll never have a relationship with aliens because of 9/11 and just crazy people things.
Yeah, he's another Alex Jones.
If he wasn't a movie star, he'd be in a straitjacket. That's how I look at it. But in the late 80s, they let Dan Aykroyd write, direct, multi-star in, meaning multiple parts, and be as involved as you can be with this absolute fucking walking nightmare of a movie, which has so much creativity and like whatever, like there's
what's it called?
Nothing But Trouble.
Okay.
Which Red Letter Media has done a great video on it, where I don't remember. I think it was Rich Evans says he made Nothing But Trouble, and it was also called Nothing But Trouble, which is a great joke. And looking at this movie, there's a dinner scene where there's like an electric train driving around, but it's got like condiments on it, and they drive in and there's like piles of like toasters and just all this crazy set dressing and stuff that has nothing to do with the movie. The movie is completely nonsense, but looking at it, it is one of the craziest visual experiences you'll ever see.
Wow.
And that's exactly how I feel like the production of this movie went, where it was just like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just let your creativity thrive. And I love it.
Huh.
And this is one of my favorite movies, maybe ever.
It's pushing its way up in the top 5 for me.
I just want to say one more thing, and I told you guys
Go
this
ahead.
last
Sure.
night.
Yeah.
At first, I did not like the husband. Or Short Round? Is that what his name?
Well, that's
Yeah.
His name was Waymond. Which,
Waymond, okay.
to piggyback off what you were saying about the appearance, is I thought his name was going to be Raymond.
Yeah, and
but
they
the
just had an
accent was.
yeah.
But then I look in the credits and it's literally W-A-Y, and I was like, oh, it is Waymond.
Yeah.
So it's like a baby name. These characters, great.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like
Joy.
there's a like a portion of this movie where I was like, am I just too white? Like, is that what's going on?
Well, no,
here?
because Joy is obviously the emotion as well as the name.
Yeah.
Just subtle stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't like him at first. I thought he was like just like a bump on a log, like boring.
He was just a pushover.
Yeah, like would do whatever. And then at the end, well, near the end, kind of when he was just like, I just look for the good in everything and everyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then I started to like get teary eyed, but I just really like that because I can be pessimistic, so I'm like trying to be more optimistic, and I really like to like I don't know, see someone being like that.
I'm glad you said that, because Michelle Yeoh is obviously going to get all the praise for this movie. She absolutely kills it.
She killed it. Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
To replace Jackie Chan, because it was
well, she was yeah.
her character was supposed to be Jackie Chan's character,
sure.
and then he would just have a wife. And they decided to flip flop, and they obviously didn't cast Jackie Chan, but like,
Right.
what a fucking ballpark.
That guy, and I just said his name earlier in the video, Hugh Kwan. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I love you.
Again, white.
But by God, was he juggling so many different emotions?
Could you imagine?
Like at within the same shot,
But
he was
what
going
has
from
he done? What has he
nothing.
done?
Where has he
then?
been?
Right. What has he done? And the fact that he can just get back on screen in front of a camera,
action,
and just
comedy, drama. He's
and just go for it.
He's literally like a Jason Statham level action star 1 second to being the bumbling, buffoony. Oh, I'm the silly dad.
And he takes his glasses off.
Am I a raccoon?
Yeah, he takes his glasses off and puts them in his front pocket, as I just did that even though we don't have cameras up. And
you don't have a pocket.
And switches characters on and there's no cuts there.
No.
Because he does it all. It's a single stationary shot the first time he does it when they're in the elevator. And he just is fucking going for it. He just snaps through and does all these crazy body movements. I was just like, how the fuck?
It was brilliant.
How the fuck is this guy doing
brilliant
this?
in this movie. And the entire
I think
time,
the whole family was really good.
the whole cast was great.
Yes.
And I just realized we didn't even mention Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. She's looking like the frumpiest secretary that's ever been in a movie, and it was amazing.
And my favorite part is she has the muffin top hanging over,
like
and
a comedic gut.
When she switches, it's and it sucks in.
Oh, she
and
sucks it all in,
and she's back to what her normal body looks like.
Yeah,
but I was just like,
because it was so comedic.
She fit that role perfectly.
It was great because of the fupa muffin top thing. It was the perfect fat person prosthetic because you could see the giant belly button through the shirt and that's how you knew and she had these Jamie Lee Curtis has a nice rack to begin with.
She's got a nice
but
body.
her nipples were
they're
both going completely different directions,
and her haircut was just awful.
She had the secretary what's it called? The wrist guard, so she doesn't get carpal tunnel.
Right.
And then she had it on her foot when they were they did the hot dog fingers. I thought that.
And we're forgetting about the butt plug award.
Oh man, there's just so
we
much
could be here for days.
More in this movie.
There's literally a sequence where, in order to dimension hop, they have to do some very specific and nonsensical thing. And early on in the movie, there is a scene that establishes Jamie Lee Curtis is the top bitch at the IRS, place, and she's got this stack of awards that obviously these companies will give out to give the illusion that they care about you, but they're literally shaped like butt plugs.
Yes.
And so later on in the movie, in order for the bad guys to hop, they have to stick these up their ass.
I think they have to stick something up their ass.
Sure.
Yeah, because the other guy
had
came
to be
in.
an award, because that was an award too. Was the other guy?
It was like a trophy.
But I literally bent over to Vox and I said, "Chekhov's butt plug award."
You bent over.
I did. Is that what I? Well, yeah, literally and figure. I kind of knelt over, so to speak. Oh, had a Freudian slip there.
Yeah, leaned. I think
I'm
is
not
the word
Greek.
you're
I
looking for.
promise. But anyway. I think it's pretty obvious how we all feel. But Vox, how do we rate these movies?
Oh, you're tossing me that now, you
gotcha.
son of a bitch. I got to do this all the time. I'm just like the head honcho now.
You have to do everything everywhere all at once?
Yeah.
If you will.
Here's how this works.
You said the thing.
I did.
He
said the thing.
Here on Pick It and Flick It, we like to do 2 rating systems, one being a pick or one being a flick. Pick it means great.
So what you're saying is
Flick it
we do
means
2
bad.
things. We do a normal rating and a nonsense one.
Yes.
So one for the ones who won't like this movie and the ones who will get this
Yes.
movie.
And we also give a rating for number scaled people who need to hear a number, 1 to 10, 1 being the worst.
They just need a little
10 being
extra
the
help.
best. You just need a little tap.
So Tosh, what did you...
I think this is unanimous.
Yeah.
Give me something.
You want my number or you want my...
Just give them both to us.
Whatever one you want to do.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Wowzers. You heard it here first. I also gave it a 10.
So I'd flick this movie. I give it a 1 out of 10. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you only babbled about
10,
it for fucking,
but flick it.
how long?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a unanimous 10.
Is this the first full 10 between us?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I can...
I don't think there's anything about that movie that I didn't like.
Yeah, I think this is the first full 10. It's our first 10 of the 2022.
Yep. And you know how we'll sign this off? The joke that I'm sure will get made a million times after this.
Wow.
I'm calling this movie The Multiverse of Motherhood Madness. Thanks for watching. Stay with Christ.
Bye.
Rapping just real fast.